All right, the Los Angeles Lakers capture that 17th NBA championship, and then LeBron James capturing his fourth NBA championship. And now for the first one will be for Anthony Davis. So I wanted to cover into the following season in 2021. Basically, the Lakers have a lot of roster changes that are probably going to be taken into place. As we can kind of see here, we're going to kind of go down the roster they have for this season and basically cover, any possible roster changes in the direction for this franchise and this team. So starting with number one, we got LeBron James. He's got 2 years left of his contract. He can opt in or he can decide to opt out after the 2021 season. But it looks like for LeBron James, he's going to capture 2 more seasons in 2021 and 2022. So keep an eye out. There could be a push for a possible three-peat for the Lakers, and it kind of matches up with the years of his contract as well. Anthony Davis, he is going to be a free agent for the Los Angeles Lakers, and he's going to be in the free agent market. But basically, after winning a championship, Anthony Davis will look to re-sign. There's been quotes that he wants to pretty much play 9 more finals with LeBron James. Of course, it's over-exaggerated and a joke. But definitely Anthony Davis is more of he has a beta personality. Not in a bad way. He doesn't want to be a leader, but he kind of resembles somewhat of a Paul George. He's fine being a second option for a franchise. He can Paul George will allow Kawhi Leonard with all the shine. And same thing with Anthony Davis. He can get LeBron get all the heat if there's any backlash on him or the praise. And AD's in a learning opportunity. That's why LeBron James decided to bring in Anthony Davis as a teammate, because no other superstar, pretty much 29 years of age or older, wanted to join LeBron, because they wanted to pretty much have their own team, their own franchise. Someone as, for example, a Jimmy Butler, a Kyrie Irving, a Kevin Durant. And this was a perfect opportunity for LeBron to reel in Anthony Davis. AD looked up to LeBron when he was younger. Anthony Davis has more of a beta personality, to where he can play as a second option, and it fits better with his game. So LeBron James lured him in to Clutch Sports, and pretty much been a great teammate for him. So great strategy when it came to Rich Paul and Mr. LeBron James. So Anthony Davis will re-sign. I could see a 5-year contract of over $200 million. So pretty much if you got your dynamic duo, everything of the team pretty much should be fine, even if you bring in veteran minimum type players. But let's kind of cover the next phases here. So Dwight Howard, he signed on a contract for the Lakers because the only bigs they had was JaVale McGee, and that was pretty much it. It was a contract, it was not guaranteed, and basically a veteran's minimum. So Dwight Howard lived up to the end of his contract, of his performance being a starter for NBA Finals championship team. Kudos to him. Now, basically, since he's won a championship, there's going to be usually how it goes, if you win a championship, if you're like a Fred VanVleet type player, maybe a JJ Barea, kind of a key role player in the finals, other teams, if you're a free agent, they're going to throw money at you because they want to have a culture added to their team and their franchise, even if you're not that good. But if you played well in the finals, if you have a championship on your belt, franchises will pretty much overvalue, and it's kind of how it is for a culture way. So Dwight Howard, I could actually see a team throw him around $8 to $12 million, maybe for a 1-year contract next season. And this would have to be for contender, because Dwight Howard played on the Hornets, the Wizards, the Hawks, and those were kind of the downfall seasons of there wasn't team success. But Dwight Howard was balling, but no one's going to be able to take up his antics if it's not a contending team. That's why when he joined the Los Angeles Lakers, you had pressure to pretty much perform and not bring out those antics, or you'll get cut. And plus, you're playing with a LeBron James type team, and every LeBron team is always championship or bust. So I actually think the Lakers and Dwight Howard, I think Dwight probably may leave the Lakers if he wants to chase the bag. Now, I think with Dwight Howard's position, I think he's happy in LA in his position, his role, and I actually think he would probably take a veteran's minimum next season. I think he'd probably deny $7-8 million from another franchise, and he would stay with the Lakers for that veteran's minimum. He looks happier, he has a great role, and it's not all about money, and I can see that for Dwight. So I think he's going to stay with the Lakers. Now, for JaVale McGee, I actually think JaVale McGee actually would leave the Lakers. I think another franchise could give him at least $8 to $11 million, kind of the same thing as a Dwight. JaVale McGee has 3 rings. He really didn't play much in the playoffs, starting in the second round and then into the finals. And JaVale McGee, again, he's got 2 championships with the Warriors, 1 with the Lakers now. He's going to chase the bag. He took a pay cut this season because the Lakers were going for that championship, and he was part of that team. But I think JaVale McGee will leave, and he'll get paid somewhere else. He's 31 years of age, but he's still effective. So I think McGee should be gone. Rajon Rondo, he's definitely going to re-sign with the Lakers. He loves playing in LA. Even when Richard Jefferson stated when Rondo was on the Dallas Mavericks with him in 2015, Rondo stated he's always wanted to be in LA. And this is the perfect spot for him. He plays very well with LeBron James. You got to put Rondo on a team that it's a championship contender. Because whenever he was playing on the Pelicans, the Bulls, they did well in the first round of those playoffs. That's why he was called Playoff Rondo. But you got to put him on a championship type team. That's where he is, around 34 years of age. And I definitely see him re-signing with the Lakers, probably for around $2 to $3 million in that veteran minimum type stage. And Rondo's happy. So Danny Green's going to be a weird situation. He's going to have 1 year left of his contract for $15 million. The Lakers may look to make a trade for him. I'm not sure. I know a lot of Lakers fans pretty much scream at Danny Green every game because he'll probably give you 1 for 6 3-point shooting, especially in the playoffs. I mean, I'm cool with the Lakers keeping Danny Green. They could look to make a trade for him, especially if they're to make a package for a Chris Paul trade, and we'll kind of cover that a little later. But that's an interesting situation. I'm fine with the Lakers keeping him, but for that $15 million, you can use that for 2 key role players or making a big trade. Kyle Kuzma is in a weird situation. See, the thing is, if you're the Lakers, you want to keep him because you only owe him around $2 million left of his rookie contract. So pretty much he's very flexible on your team and cap space. And we can see how he can progress being 25 years of age. So I think the Lakers are going to keep him. Now, when it comes to fit, Kyle Kuzma does not fit on the Lakers team. He does not fit with the schematics. Now, he has fit as being pretty much a 3-point shooter, just a catch and shoot. You know, like when LeBron put Chris Bosh as just throw him out in the corner, shoot threes pretty much. Kyle Kuzma has been pretty well at that, just waiting in the corner for a LeBron assist. But when Kuzma tries to go ISO and his mid-range game, he tries to take up his own shots, it's not good whatsoever. He thinks he's Jason Tatum, but he's far from that. I don't want Kuzma on the team if you're the Lakers, but you got to keep him because you only owe him probably around $2 million. And we can see how he progresses as an NBA champion, turning 25 years of age. So, I mean, you got to keep him. But if you're going to make a big blockbuster trade for like a Chris Paul again, you can include Danny Green. Then you can throw in Kuzma as well. But for the sake of things, you'll keep him. Dion Waiters, they're going to let him go. They just signed him at the end of the season because they had an extra roster spot. And, I mean, kudos to Waiters. He's got to chill on those gummies and everything because we thought his career with Miami was done with. But I'm glad the Lakers picked him up. I wish we could have seen him play a little more. And he could have brought some, a great offensive isolation for the Lakers if he would have played. But it is what it is. The Lakers are going to let him go. J.R. Smith's in the weird situation as well. I think they're going to let him go as well. They're not going to re-sign him. They may not. I think JR may retire after this season, after winning a championship. But kudos to him. He got a couple minutes in the finals. Now, KCP. Clutch Sports really hooked him up with Rich Paul. They would give him around a $14 million year contract in 2019. And then in 2020, they gave him $8 million. The Lakers are definitely going to re-sign KCP. He played very well in the NBA Finals. I got to give credit where credit is due. In the beginning of the season, for the first 15 games, KCP was awful for the Lakers. But after getting bullied on social media, he really flipped the switch. And NBA fans pretty much were trying to do the same thing to Kyle Kuzma, but it never worked out for Kuzma. He was getting bullied, but he never really performed the way we expected him to. But he's been okay. Yeah, but for KCP, you're probably going to have to give him around $8 million again for the Lakers. Definitely you're going to have to re-sign him. Alex Caruso, the GOAT, he's going to stay on the team. He's a culture type player. Markieff Morris, the team could re-sign him, but as the Detroit Pistons let him go, Markieff Morris pretty much took the veterans minimum. Same thing like a Marcus Morris Sr., Reggie Jackson when they got dropped and waived. You take a veterans minimum for the rest of the season for a contender, and then after that, when you're an unrestricted free agent, Markieff Morris is probably going to get paid around $8 million at least for another team. The Lakers can't afford him, so they're probably going to have to let him go most likely. But he gets a championship ring, so he's cool. Avery Bradley, you kind of forgot about him because he left the bubble due to family issues. And, man, if he would have played in the bubble, the Lakers, man, they would have been probably even better, most likely. But Avery Bradley, I could definitely see him re-sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. He was a great fit for their team and their franchise. And, again, you can give him, you can pay him around $4 million again. Maybe another team may throw him some money, but that's an iffy one. But definitely the Lakers want to re-sign. Quinn Cook, he'll have $3 million left of his contract. The Lakers could keep him. I wish he would have got more playing time because he fits really well playing alongside a LeBron James type teammate. Because he's a 3-and-D type player. As a point guard, he can handle the rock. He has 2 championships with the Warriors. He's had some time in the playoffs playing with them. And he can hit the three. I think he shoots around the high 30s, low 40s. I wish I would have seen more time with him, but is what it is. I think the Lakers may cook him up on a, no pun intended, they may cook him up in a trade proposal with possibly Danny Green and Kyle Kuzma if they're going to make that Chris Paul trade. Jared Dudley. Dudley's really cool. I'm glad they brought him on the team. He's a great 3-and-D type player. He fits very well alongside LeBron James, but he's older in age, so he didn't need to get time on the court. But he's a great culture guy, a great veteran on the team, kind of like a Udonis Haslem type. But sometimes you just need some veterans on your team, and they don't really need to play. So Caruso and Jared Dudley are great culture setters. Talon Horton-Tucker, he played a couple minutes against the Houston Rockets in the second round. Definitely want to re-sign him. Or actually, you'll have him for another year. Definitely keep him on the team because, man, he was effective driving in, hitting mid-range jumpers, three-pointers, and defending. And he's only 19 years of age. And then Kostas Antetokounmpo, definitely want to keep him on your team. Maybe the G League and progress him. See what his potential could be. Because he is 6'10", 200 pounds, 22 years of age. You definitely want to keep him within that. So overall with the Lakers, I kind of expect around 8 of the players returning. So LeBron James, AD, Dwight Howard, Rondo, Danny Green, Kuzma, KCP, Caruso, and Avery Bradley, maybe Jared Dudley. So that's around 9 players. And basically for the next steps for the Lakers, a bunch of these players are on 1-year contracts. So we could see a couple of these guys leaving free agency. Other teams could throw the bag at them. Usually that's what happens when you win a championship and you're either a role player or a starter. And if you're the Lakers, you won a championship in 2020. You most definitely can win a chip in 2021 if you want to repeat. You do have Anthony Davis, who's going to be 27 years of age. LeBron will be 36 entering in December. Due to that case, you want to add more motivation, more of a goal. I think with the Dwight Howard, Rajon Rondo type scenario with these veterans, the 2020 season was championship or bust. So after you win that chip, there's not really any more motivation or a goal or a why reason to win a chip. So I think the Lakers probably should retool a little bit more. And in the next video, I'm going to actually put some trade proposals for the Lakers and how the roster can change. But we'll jump into there now.